This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
The stakes have never been higher. The competition has never been stronger. 42 drivers, 25 rounds. One will be crowned champion. Competition. Commitment, excitement. This is Lionheart. You're watching the premier American open wheel series on iRacing. The Lionheart IndyCar Series presented by First Medical Equipment starts now.
Sponsored by First Medical Equipment, competition, commitment, excitement. This is Lionheart. Streaming cyberspace into your place from Iowa Speedway, the Global SimRacing Channel brings you round 20 coverage of the Lionheart IndyCar Series 2019 Championship. Now, earlier this summer, the Lionheart League members gathered at the real-world Iowa IndyCar race to cheer on series driver Sage Karam as he tried to tame the short, tricky oval. Now, several months later, they return in virtual form to try to tame the track themselves. And you can see all the simulated Dallara IR18 action of the Berkey Truckee 200 at Iowa Speedway, live as it happens, right here on the iRacing Esports Network. From the Hawkeye State, hello and welcome to another GSRC broadcast and the Sim Experience Countdown to Green. Over the next 15 minutes, GSRC will bring you all the storylines, all the stats and facts you'll need to appreciate the Berkey Truckee 200 at Iowa Speedway. That will immediately follow as we count down to green. Up in the booth to bring you our Words Eye View, former real-world IndyCar driver Richie Hearn, joined by yours truly, Bill Soups On. I'm Jed Yaman, has director duties, armed with cameras, locked and loaded by the one, the only Dougie Beard. In last year's race, Adam Blocker, Michael Goodman, Scotty Johnson, and Chris Lanini were the four drivers to be on the right pit strategy when the caution flew late, trapping the rest of the drivers one lap down. Blocker would barely beat Michael Goodman to the line by a scant 34 one-thousandths of a second, the eighth closest finish in league history. Richie, it wouldn't be surprising if we saw a similar close finish in a few hours.
No, it wouldn't, Soup. And here we are at Iowa Speedway, located right in the middle of those cornfields there. This is a 7th, 8th mile track, labeled as the fastest short track oval in the country. IndyCar's reaching a top speed of 186 miles an hour in the real world. We'll probably see that today as well. The track does have some progressive banking, which leads to some great racing. So 12 degrees on the bottom, 14 degrees up on the top. It is a D-shaped oval, as you can see on our screen there, with that front straightaway, just a little bit of a bend to it. But probably the best way for you folks to really see what it's like to drive around this crazy place is jump on board that GSRC lap guide.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Global SimRacing Channel. I'm Brian Yazek, taking you for a spin around the Iowa Speedway in the GSRC IR18 IndyCar. Without further ado, here we go. Hot lap time, you're going to be down at the bottom of the track, finding that yellow line with the front tires. Watch the bump right there. Swinging it back out towards the fence. Turn 3 and 4, you're going to be wanting to dive it down to the bottom and try to find that nice rotation point. Kind of drift up a little too early, that wall will be waiting for you. Now, Iowa has the benefit of being able to move all over the place. So in the quest for air, you're going to see guys all over the place here in 1 and 2, probably up in that second, third seam, getting out there by the fence. Turns 3 and 4 going to be very similar. You're going to see guys right up to that fence, dusting it off lap after lap after lap, coming off of turn 4, down the front stretch and across the line. And that's going to complete our very brief guide here around the Iowa Speedway. I'm Brian Yazek. Enjoy the show.
And there we have a couple laps around that Iowa Speedway. Tricky little place there. 16, 17 seconds around, so they get around real quick. The countdown to green is brought to you by the Sim Experience, the team behind the AccuForce Pro V2 direct drive steering systems. By providing unparalleled realism and the most advanced tuning features on the market, the AccuForce provides significant advantage to any sim racer. It can also provide unparalleled realism and the most advanced tuning features on the market. It can also make for an effective training tool for real-world drivers. For more information on the entire Sim Experience ecosystems, including their GS5 seat, Stage Series motion systems, and Sim5 software, visit simexperience.com and use the promo code SimXLion to get 5% off all your Sim5 software there. Sue?
There you go. Thank you, Richie Hearn, a proud resident of Pahrump, Nevada. Another city in Nevada is Truckee, Nevada. But that has no relation to our sponsor today, of course, which is Berkey Trucking. We welcome them on board and thank them for doing what they do. Let's go ahead and take a look at our standings now. And these driver standings come courtesy of First Medical Equipment. In the driver's standing, Adam Blocker continues to hold a 260-point lead over Dan Guerin after they finished 11th and 12th, respectively, last time out. Coming off a win last time, Andrew Kinsella pulls to within 66 points of Dandy Dan Guerin for second place, or in third, behind second. Now, Justin Weaver and Stefan Larkamp, those guys have been close both on the track and in the standings ever since they battled for the rookie championship a few seasons ago. Weaver pulls ahead of Larkamp now into fourth, 24 points back of Kinsella. There is another championship, though, and that is the team championship, and that comes thanks to Plasma Tracks. Now, Adrenaline Motorsports Red, they won the day last time out. They had a really strong performance as they continue to increase their lead with Blocker, Carey, and Kinsella doing the work there. But the team I want to talk about is Skidmark Black. They only had 2 drivers, but they finished second on the day, and that was because of Brian Beard came in second and James Brandt finished fourth. So even though they sit down in 5th position, they closed the gap on Adrenaline Motorsports Black. And of course, Adrenaline teams are named after licorice flavors. Synergy East and LPM Cancer Down. That's Galvin Hazard and Lanini manning that one. Sits in third. There is another championship, and Rich is going to talk about that one.
Yeah, and here we are. We have the Lionheart IndyCar Series Rookie of the Year presented by Butt Kicker. This is the one championship that has been changing hands back and forth all year long, and it's going to go right down to the wire. And you can see Mike Rigney has jumped up to the first spot, only 6 points ahead of Damon Martinez. And, you know, Damon Martinez dropped 6 points behind due to Rigney, due to his 24th place finish at Gateway. In fact, Rigney was the only rookie in the top 5 to be running at the end with a solid 7th place finish. We also have Hill and Carey. Carey's in 4th, 50 points back. Paul Jenkins still relatively in the mix, although he's fallen behind. But really the battle is going to be between Rigney, Martinez, and Hill. And we will keep an eye on that each race we go to.
Watch out for John Hill. He doesn't have the pace of the guys he's in front of. But, man, he is consistent. He just might sneak that in there just from being able to bring the car home safe most weeks. You know, the best of the best in the iRacing World Championship, as well as many top private leagues like the one you are watching right now, are showcased right here on the iRacing Esports Network. If you haven't done so yet, make sure that you subscribe. GSRC is proud to be part of the IESN stable of broadcasters, and what a strong stable of broadcasters They have indeed. Considered the premier fixed setup racing league for the Dallara IR18 on the iRacing service. You know, the Lionheart IndyCar Series honors the memory of the late Dan Weldon. Of course, Dan was an engineer, played a big part in designing the DW12. And we always have this segment that follows. We talk about Dan Weldon, and it's Professor Lugsnick's Setup Corner. I have no idea what the professor's talking about today. Professor, what's on board?
Dieter, I'm not going to talk about no Paul McCartney jokes here, okay?
We're talking about wings, aren't we? Wings, right?
We're still talking about soup. It's your favorite time again. We're going to talk about wings and wickers. Easy for me to say, but that means we're going to be talking about the Bernoulli principle. Remember that guy?
I love the Bernoulli.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Yes. Okay. Now
we talked about the gurney flap. Is that what we're talking about too? The kind of gurney flap thing?
Not the gurney flap today.
Oh, okay.
But
all right.
Now the IR18 does employ that principle, the Bernoulli principle, to generate downforce from the wings and the under tray of the car. But did you know there are two separate wing adjustments that impact the Bernoulli effect, generating the downforce?
Up and down.
The most apparent way to increase or decrease downforce is by manipulating the angle of those wings. Now, increasing or decreasing the wing angle will generate more or less downforce for that portion of the car. Now, there is a second adjustment that many race fans don't really often think about. It's on the trailing edge of the wing. Now, the teams are allowed to run a small metal strip that range from anywhere from about 3/8 of an inch all the way up to about 1 inch on some tracks. But those strips are known as the wickers. That's the wicker. Those stick up into the airstream, creating downforce. A lot of it certain times. Now, but also a lot of turbulence, a lot of bit of drag. And that means it slows the car down. Sometimes might even make it a little wicked out there in the air. It's a careful balancing act between the wing angle and the wickers and deciding which is more beneficial for a given track. It's often the difference between winning and losing a race in the real world. In Lionheart, because of the fixed setup, it can be the difference between being able to pass or having to go single file around a track. Now, I don't know if you're going to see much of that here at Iowa this evening.
Got it. The wicker, I understand now. I might have dated myself there with the gurney flap. That's probably not the same thing. Do you like how I participate in the professor? I was paying attention, taking notes. Is that okay, Professor? Nope, Professor's not talking to me anymore. Apparently, he does not like participation from the class. All right, Richie, let's go ahead. I know I will not interrupt you. Why don't you talk about the race details?
Yeah, and these series details come to us thanks to Minus 273, the premier name in karting gloves. For more information on Minus 273's full line of gloves and apparel, visit minus273.biz. Use promo code LHRS for 25% off your orders. And here we have our series details on your screen. Season 7 of the Lionheart IndyCar Series. Working around 20 of 25. We're getting near the end here. We got 3 driver drops involved. Of course, we're using the new Dallara IR18. The setups are fixed, but they have been adjusted to make the car a little bit more racy for everybody. And they're working on cash and prizes totaling $9,652.
Qualifying going on right now. I can report that Dan Guerin sits at the top of the chart. Good news and bad news for Dandy Dan. You're going to be starting on the pole. The bad news is in the many times that the Lionheart IndyCar Series has been coming to Iowa, you guessed it, nobody has ever won from pole, although records are meant to be broken, so Dan would like to be the first driver to do that today. Got some, I don't know if it's actually sad news, but I think Dandy Dan announced his retirement at the end of the season from the Lionheart Series, so we wish him the best in his future endeavors. And Dan says hopefully he can get one more win before he hangs up the minus 273 gloves.
Yeah, you can see up front how close it is with Dan Guerin at a 16.422. Ron Hacker doing a really good job with a 16.452. Oh, now Brandon Linkerman jumps in front of him with a 4.52, and Ron Hacker at a 4.55. George Anzaldo doing a good job. He's a previous winner here, actually, and he's set a 16.456. So really close times there in the top 4.
So what kind of race am I looking at here, Richie? Is it going to be is this a draft track? Is this like a short track with modified cars? A track position important?
I don't think it's much of a draft track, although you obviously will get some draft, but I think it's going to be more of a track position. Pit stops at the right time. You can, there are some grooves here. You know, it's not one groove, so you can run 2 or 3 grooves. So the racing is going to be pretty spectacular. Hopefully we calm down a little bit at the beginning and get some green flag runs. But I think it's all going to be about just positioning yourself to be in that top group right near the end and then just racing right to the finish line.
We have a nice full field here today of 30 drivers. 27 have put in qualifying so far. 3 drivers who have not. Joe Branch still waiting to get into time. Samuel Ryman is back there a little bit. And real-world IndyCar driver Sage Karam. His name is on the practice list, but I don't see a qualifying time from him yet. Looks like qualifying is done as they congratulate Dan Guerin as race control is now doing their pre-race briefing. With that out of the way, let's go ahead and look at the grid. The front row, we talked about it, that's Dan Guerin. He's going to be cited by Brandon Limpkin. Nice qualifying run from Brandon. Richie?
Yeah, starting third will be Ron Hacker, and right next to him will be George Ansaldo.
Connor Harrington starting to get his wheels underneath him, sits in 5th. Brian Beard, coming off a great performance last time, sits in 6th.
Yeah, Brian Yazik had a good run last week, got caught out by how that yellow flag played out, but he starts 7th. Tony Schoen's going to start right next to him in 8th.
The Von Hansen Meat Machine of Bob Micah sits in 9th. The Watchman, Mark Cohn, is in 10th.
Big Joe Hazard's going to start 11th, and starting 12th will be Jason Galvin.
Moby Dickey's machine of Justin Weaver sits in the Baker's Dozen spot. He's sided by points leader Adam Blocker.
Christopher starts on the inside of row 8. Starting 16th will be Stefan Larkamp.
The Candyman, Dustin Wardlow, sits in 17th. He is inside of Tyler Groff.
David Clymer starts 19th. Starting 20th will be Isaiah Dupree.
With an ace and a face card, it's Crease, Sleepy, Lanini, a pair of deuces for Bart Workman.
Paul Jenkins starts 23rd, and right next to him, our second place in Rook of the Year will be Damon Martinez in 24th.
In the quarter century mark, it's James Brandt. He's inside of Mike Rigney.
And we talked about John Hill in that Rookie of the Year standings. He's starting all the way back in 27th. 28th is going to be Joe Branch. Samuel Ryman is going to start 30th, and Sage Karam is going to start 29th. Those last 3 guys didn't put in a time, so it might be some penalties involved.
I think that's probably what's going on with them. As they line up and they're ready to start to roll, we do have some onboard cameras today. Let's go ahead and talk who we got. In the number 8, it is Dandy Dan Guerin, sporting the Midwest Simulations onboard camera. The Spotlight VS, it provides non-evasive yet always visible in-sim spotter audio cues. Find out more at simwest.com. And those are visual cues, not audio cues. We also have Brandon Limpkin in the number 73 in the First Medical onboard camera, the source of medical supplies and equipment in the Burlington, Iowa area for years because of their superior commitment to provide the absolute best in product quality and customer service. Finally, it is the rookie in the 00 in the -273 onboard camera. You know, durable, breathable, lightweight racing gloves. You want to know more about them? -273.biz. The parade lap is done, and now they will get in position, and we'll go ahead and get this one underway. We have a daytime race here today. That's kind of a surprise. I thought we'd be racing in the nighttime. I should have paid a little more attention to the pre-race information that is provided by the Lionheart guys. The sun is beginning to set, so the sun should go down. We'll talk about our temperatures here in a little bit. Working their way around the back half of the track now. It is round number 20 of 25. 24 different venues. Of course, there is a double race, doubleheader in Detroit. The beautiful Medina Mendez out of Long Beach, California, pulls the pace car down into pit lane, turning control over to Dandy Dan Guerin. Competition, commitment, excitement. This is Lionheart, and the Berkey Trucking 200 at Iowa Speedway is underway. Guerin is first into quarter number 1. Brandon Lipkeman drops into second. Ron Hacker and George Anzaldo slot into third and fourth. A little bit of battle back for fifth with Connor Harrington settling into that spot.
Looks like we got an incident in the back there, back couple rows. Yellow flags out right away.
It's the Moby Dickey's car of no. Does Dustin Wardlow? No, I'm apologize. It's the Candyman.
Bring
Let's
up that.
see what happened.
There.
He just got loose all by himself, and I think clips a couple cars as goes by. The two cars that he clips, that is David Clymer, a newcomer, and Cousin Dupree, Isaiah, got involved.
Yeah, it looks like just on the gas a little too hard on these cold tires. Just gets loose, gets on the apron, kind of snaps back in front of everybody and collects a couple other cars, unfortunately.
Look how Clymer and Dupree almost got through. Both of them, I think, on the throttle here. They just didn't quite get up there to the car. Oh! So we get that one out of the way. No fast repairs in the Lionheart Series. This is big boy racing. You break it, you bought it. Got a hunch that it's going to be a short night for at least a few of those drivers. We'll see what kind of repairs can be made.
Yeah, it's a little disappointing for some of those guys. I know they put a lot of laps in for practice, and unfortunately, like you say, big boy racing, things happen, and he didn't mean to do it on purpose. Just caught a couple people out.
Well, with the action slowing down, let's go ahead and take a second to look at a couple things. First of all, we talked about the sun beginning to set. How about we take a quick look at the weather, see what these guys are dealing with presently. There you go. Ooh, that looks comfortable for everybody, both the drivers and the tires and the fans.
Yeah, nice, easy night here in Iowa. Track temp 86 degrees, only 51% humidity, no wind. So it should be a good night for, like you said, for the tires and the fans. And should be a good deal.
With lap times of about just a tick under 17 seconds, let's see how many laps they've decided to give us tonight. It seems like we could have a lot of them. How about 229? That won't take very long, though, with these quick lap times. How far can we go? Well, they say 54. That gets you 54, 108, 162. Did I do that one right? And then another one puts you still a little short. So it looks like a four-stopper if you did it perfectly.
Yeah, that's if we go green the whole way, which is going to be a little tricky in a tight place like this, but as we've seen in the past, usually you get some yellows at the beginning and kind of sorts itself out. Hopefully we see some green flag pit stops because they got to pit off that back straightaway and hug around that wall to get in the pit lane. It can be a little tricky getting in and off of pit lane here tonight.
We'll keep an eye on drivers that like to do alternate pit strategies. One of those being Samuel Ryman. He usually sits in the back. Let's take a look at Sam right now in the number 63. He's notorious as just kind of sitting back there saving fuel. Maybe Sammy's thinking about three-stopping this. I haven't done the math, Sam, but it looked like I multiplied that by 3. I can almost get there by 4.
Yeah, the problem is with this place is it's only 17 seconds around. When you're that far back in the pack, it's not going to be more than a handful of laps before the leader comes around and starts lapping you. With the no lucky dog, it's hard to get that lap back. So you got to kind of have to think about it that way. Is it worth hanging around, saving fuel, that extra pit stop, and getting a lap down, or just kind of staying on the path of everybody else?
The lights continue to go left and right atop the pace car. So let's take a second to look at one of the drivers that wasn't allowed to put in a qualifying time. Talking about car number 2, Sage Karen, currently back in 23rd position. Started in 29th, next to last, has already picked up a few. Of course, some of that is from attrition. Got a few on the track. We'll watch Sage work his way through the field. You would think that a real-world IndyCar driver would be fast, and you would not be wrong. He's quick.
And he's fast here in real life, too. He's had some good races here. So I expect him, he's pretty aggressive, so I expect get him up to the front. As long as he doesn't get caught up in anything, he should be up there at some point.
Let's look into the driver on 14th, car number 1, Adam Blocker, our points leader. Don't be concerned. He is mid-pack right now. He usually manages to find his way up to the front when it's time to go racing for sure. The defending champion here at this track, winning by, well, we talked about it, just a few thousandths of a second last time out. All right. They're going to be working lap number 7 when they go green. The pace car is going to pull in, and one more time, it's going to be Dan Guerin. This time it's a single file restart. Guerin's on the throttle. Here we go.
Everybody getting up to speed here as Dan Guerin drives right to the bottom. There's a big bump there in turns 1 and 2. That really upsets the car, so that'll affect the guys as these tires start to wear out a little bit. But so far, everybody just kind of taking it easy, hopefully, and getting a nice little rhythm and get some good racing.
We talked about it maybe being an early night for the cars that were involved in that incident. There's a pass for the lead. As I talked about that, Limpkeman goes underneath Guerin. Looks like Limpkeman will be credited with leading lap number 8 as he starts lap number 9. 3 cars that are out of the race. The 3 cars that were involved in that incident: David Clymer, Dustin Wardlow, and Isaiah Dupree.
Yeah, right now, George Zotto right in a beehive there. He's right in the middle.
Oh, my.
He's got a car on the outside, car on the inside. As they go down that front straight, nowhere to go, and finally he's able to get right down to the bottom. That car on the outside had to really lift, and he lost a lot of momentum. It's all about momentum here and not being able to having to get off and on the gas too much.
That was Ron Hacker, who lost a spot not only to Enzaldo Harrington. Brian Yazik is now underneath him, and we got another caution. Galvin, Jason Galvin, gets a little bit of a hip check from the blue car. It's Adam Blocker. Little side-to-side contact.
Yeah, Adam Blocker right down to the bottom here. Just a little bit of a hit check. Like you said, send that hockey puck right up into the wall, and he kind of gets stuck right there. Nobody else involved, but I believe that's going to be the end of his race, unfortunately.
Hard to make the call on that one, but from this angle, it looked like maybe Blocker's car made it drifted up a little bit. Chris Stouffer happened right in front of him. Look at Stouffer behind in that kind of black and yellow machine. Boy, that is tough. That's a tough call. Boy, you can see the Delara kind of go into the wall. Can't wait for iRacing to get the damage model that they put on the Skippy on these cars. Man, that's going to make Lionheart Racing look good. We ride on board. Boy, that one, if there ever was a racing incident, that might be it.
Yeah, I think it was just a little bit of both guys going for the same spot. Adam was committed to the bottom, and the car's going to naturally wash up, and, there was somebody there, unfortunately.
All right, well, it's time for some alternate pit strategy time as we have some takers. Some guys are going to stay out. Looks like about a dozen or so drivers are going to come back in. They're going to come in, and they'll cycle about, I can probably tell you, they'll cycle in at about, when they all sort out, maybe 13th or 14th. Let's say 15th.
Yeah, we're already lap 13, so laps, even though we've only run a couple laps on the green, they're going by fast, and some guys trying to extend that pit window. And not a bad thing to do. When you enter yellow, you get kind of a free stop. No reason. It's not like you got to pay for the tires or the fuel or anything. You get as much as you want. So come on in, take those tires, take the fuel, and just see how it plays out. So if we go long on green, we saw that at the last race. That yellow flag came out at a certain point, and it just trapped a bunch of drivers out. So this definitely keeps their options open.
So we talked about the 3 drivers that were out due to the incident on lap number 1, the incident here that happened on lap number 9. I think it's going to take Jason Galvin out of this one, so the Bakersfield boy is going to call it an early day. Let's go ahead and keep an eye on some of the guys we've been following, see how they did. We were watching what Sage Karam did. Now, did Sage come in for a stop? Let's see if I can figure this out. He did. So his climb through the field is going to be stunted a bit.
But last week, that's how Andrew Kinsella won that race. He pitted on that first stop, got a little bit off cycle of everybody, was able to get up to the front, and was able to pull off the win there.
So let's go ahead and take a look at how our rookie championship is playing out. Now, right now, I see Mike Rigney did not stop, and he is sitting in 14th position. And as I say that, Mike's going to come in. So the man he's fighting with, Damon Martinez, did make a stop. He is back in 24th, so he'll be ahead of Rigney once Rigney takes his fuel.
Yeah, kind of second guessing his strategy a little bit. It doesn't really help at this point because now you go all the way to the back. So if you would have pitted with everybody else, if you have a good pit stop, you'll come back in front of those guys. But now He's going to have some work to do.
We're working lap 15 right now. The lights will go off the pace car next time around, and we'll be going green for lap 17. Currently being led by Brandon Limpkeman as he rolls his way around. Of course, we have some wonderful sponsors. How about, can we go on, is the minus 273 onboard camera still out there? Who is racing that? Let's go there. Oh, well, let's go ahead and talk about them. Minus 273, they are the industry-leading gloves, are superior lightweight and durable, made of breathable polyester spandex. Whether you're a kart or sim racer, minus 273 gives you the control to reach victory lane. For more information on minus 273's full line of gloves and apparel, visit, where do you think? Minus273.biz. Fooled you with that one, it's a .biz. Hey, don't forget to also use LHRS to get 25% off your order. Hey, that's a good percentage off. That's basically like, if you buy a glove, that's basically like getting 2.5 fingers for free. Just doing the math.
All right, pace car lights are off, so we're going to get back to green. Hopefully we can get some good running here.
Random Limpkeman in control, working lap number 17. Guerin, Anzaldo, Harrington, and Yazik.
Brandon Limp.
Battle.
Yeah, I was going
Go
to say.
ahead.
I was just going to say he gets a good start. Dan Guerin hanging in there in second. George Anzaldo moving up to third, so nice job there, but he is being hassled right now by Connor Harrington, so he's been in a little bit of a fight from the beginning, but taking that middle line, forcing Connor to go to the bottom. I think the bottom's going to work good with good tires, but as we get going, I think you're going to want to see people, you're going to start seeing people moving up the lane a little bit.
We'll be covering two battles now. The leaders of all the cars that have been out there the whole time and the leaders of the cars who have pitted. Right now, that's Tony Schowen ahead of Adam Blocker. Those guys race in 14th and 15th.
Dan Guerin going to the lead, going to the bottom of Brandon Limpkeman. Dan Guerin's going to take the point there, but not for very long as he's getting pushed.
Oh! I don't know if it's going to bring out the yellow. That is Connor Harrington. Harrington got together as he was making the pass. Got together with George Anzaldo. And he's having a hard time. Boy, he rode the wall, got the car all the way around without a yellow flag.
Yeah, he was racing hard with George and just got a little bit wide and just washed up. And just kind of caught the wall there. Did some damage to his car. No yellow flag as we continue under green with Dan Guerin leading.
We stay on this one a little bit. You look at him work his way around. For those of you old enough to remember, Joey Chitwood's driving school there, doing a little two-wheel driving was Harrington.
Yeah, after watching it on the replay on my own, it looks like a little bit of net code there, and it kind of kicked Connor sideways, and it kind of brought him up into the wall there.
So while that was going on, Dan Guerin was able to get around Brandon Limpkeman for the lead. Yazik up 4 spots, racing in third position with visions of second as he works on the back of Anzaldo. Correct myself, visions of third.
Yeah, George has been busy out there. He was racing hard with Connor Harrington, and now he's racing hard with Brian Yazik. Brian's doing a good job, just staying right onto his gearbox. He's going to dip down below, try to make a pass going into turn 3. Not able to make it happen, and George is going to hold on to that third position.
While we look at that battle, I want to take you back to 12th position. It's Adam Blocker. He's the leaders of all the cars who have pitted. He just got around Tyler Graff. Graff's on that other alternate pit strategy. Behind them is Tony Schowen, and going down low, that is Sage Karam. Yes, he's made a stop as they continue to fight. It looks like Schowen is going to make his way around Graff as well. Oh my goodness, and there goes Karam underneath. Woohoo!
Yeah, that was really close. He washed up and almost clipped the front of Tony Schowen. who had, I think it was Tyler Groff on the outside of him. So 3 wide coming off that corner, but everybody makes it.
I'm going to jump you up to 8th position now. This is Chris Stouffer. He is under attack from Justin Weaver. It won't be long, though, until Blocker is in this mix as well. That blue car you also see back there, 3rd in line, that is the Watchman, Mark Cohn. Great battle going on for 8th. Look at the hole that both those cars punch for Cohn right now as Cohn tries to move to the outside of Weaver. Weaver goes down low. They're all coming up on the back of Bob Mikas, who races in 7th. Good racing going on back here for the back half of your top 10.
Yeah, we're seeing how they're working those multiple grooves, able to go down to the bottom. It's hard to hold that bottom, but people are able to make it happen. We'll see how that goes as we get a little farther into this run as we're working lap 31 of 229.
Boy, Richie, you are absolutely right. I'm watching cars trying to make an attack underneath. They can get there. They just cannot finish it out of the corner. I saw George Anzaldo take a stab at 2nd place, and that didn't work.
Yeah, he's starting to work that outside line as well. He goes down and apexes the corner like normal, but washes way up. Now he's running up high in turns 3 and 4. Brian Yazik's going to try to go underneath him, but he can't quite keep that momentum. He's going to stay behind him in 4th spot, doing it again in 1 and 2. Brian Yazik's going to get right up alongside him, but he's going to have the inside into 3, and I think he's going to get pinched off. The outside lane is the lane to have, I think, at the moment as those tires start to wear off. If we go back a little bit to Bobby Mikas and Big Joe, there's a whole group of cars here battling out. They're spreading out 3 wide in the corners and then kind of getting in the draft on the straightaway. Right in the middle of that is Sage Karam as well. He's working that bottom line. He's starting to move his way up to the front.
Karam is the only driver I've seen so far who's able to put the car down low and keep the momentum and get the drive off. Everybody else, look what Weaver does here. Watch as Weaver makes a run up in front on Mikas. He'll get the car down there, but he won't be able to finish the job. He'll lose a lot of momentum coming off the corner, and then not only is that would happen, not only will Weaver not get the pass made, but he'll be in jeopardy of losing the pass. This is different from what Karam has been able to do. When he goes underneath, man, he finishes it.
Yeah, it's just a matter of timing. You're going to have to lift a little bit because you're going to get that understeer at the bottom. If you time it just right, the car will still turn and you don't lose all that momentum. So if you drive in on the throttle, pick up the understeer, then lift, then you lose all that speed and it's hard to pick that back up. So it's just having that experience to know when to lift and when to kind of stay on the throttle. And Sage Karam is getting passed by Chris Stouffer at the moment.
Now, of course, Karam has 12-lap younger tires than a lot of these guys. Stouffer was not able to finish that pass on Karam. Stouffer is on old tires. Karam is the leader of all the cars who made that stop back on, I guess, what would be lap 17 or something like that. Up in front, continuing to attack George Anzaldo is Brian Yazik, and continuing to be unsuccessful.
Yeah, George doing a good job taking that outside lane away from Brian. And this is going to bring Ron Hacker back into the mix here. It's got a 3-way battle for that 3rd spot. Up front, you're not missing anything. Dan Guerin's got a healthy 1.7 lead. He's already starting to lap people. So that's going to cause some problems for him. And Brandon Linkerman sitting there all alone in 2nd spot. He's got a healthy gap over George. So the big battle up front is really between George and Brian.
We talked about John Hill sitting 3rd in the rookie race. Well, he just went a lap down, as that is Guerin's first victim for real, as Guerin starts to lap the field now.
Yeah, it doesn't take much for these guys to get around, and just a couple of seconds off the pace. It's only 17 seconds around, so you can do the math on that. I'm not going to, but you can. And you can get the laps back, but you're going to have some good pit stops and get right in front of the leader when a yellow happens.
Speaking of yellows, we've had 2 of them so far. We've gone 44 laps, throwing a parade lap and a pace lap. How far can we go? They said we could go 54. Let's say they can probably get, I'm going to say 62 is the number that these guys are going to be able to get to. We'll see how right I'm at about that. All right, let's look back at third. Here comes Jacek. I think he's got a run this time. Boy, he had a head of steam. Look at George Anzaldo covering the outside like a park ranger. But it's not going to work.
Now, I think he's going to finally have to give that up as Ryan Yazek's able to get that position, now move up and take that outside lane away from George. So still doing a good job. Ryan Yazek from 7th to 3rd. George Anzaldo right back to where he started in 4th. Working lap 48. So, probably see some pit stops soon. Maybe like 10 laps.
I'm saying lap 62. I say we go 15. We'll see how close I am on that one. Won't be any stops for the driver in 9th, Sage Karam. Up from 29th to 9th. Do the math, that's 20. And he has a pit stop. He's only been out there for 36 laps compared to 49 for Dan Guerin. But if a yellow were to come out, I believe everybody would come in. Let's jump up to this battle for 6. Big Joe Hazard, Bob Mikas under attack now from Justin Weaver. Weaver down low again. Cannot make it stick. The Moby Dickie's machine will have to back out a bit. Great racing as they start to come up on Ron Hacker. Boy, these 3 guys are coming. They are gaining now on Anzaldo. Once Jacek got around Anzaldo, he's beginning to drop because here comes Hacker now on Anzaldo with a head of steam from Bob Mikas. This is great racing going on for 4th spot. The car ahead is John Hill. He's a lap down. We ride on board on the Moby Dickie's machine of Weaver. Weaver in that points race with Stefan Larkamp. Weaver in 8th, Larkamp back in 11th right now. They are never far apart either on the point standings or on the track. Wouldn't be surprised if one of them was the best man at the other guy's wedding. Boy, Hill right now trying to make that car skinny. Oh no, there is nowhere for Mikas to put the car. Had a great run, but he was boxed in with Hacker below him and Hill in front of him.
Ooh, they got so close right there. Bobby Mikas and Ron Hacker. He couldn't fit a piece of paper in between them.
Now Mikas with the run on top. He sits in 5th. He's in the white and red Von Hansen's meat machine. The car being passed now on the low side. Going around the top. Hacker in 6th. Hazard trying to go around the top. Hill has managed to get out of the way. They've all got around. And look who's coming to the party. It's Sage Karam. We are on lap 56. Soup said it would be 62 till we see pit stops. We'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, meanwhile, Dan Guerin is way out in front, 2.3 seconds. Brandon Linkerman way out in front of the 3rd place. So those guys are doing just their own thing. Brian Yazek has separated himself from the pack. The pack is George Anzaldo, Bobby Mikas, Ron Hacker, and beyond. So, and like you said, Here comes Sage Karam, starting 29th all the way up to 9th spot. He's got Adam Blocker, a points leader, right behind him as well.
Now all these guys will be stopping. Yazek was on the back of Anzaldo for about 7 or 8 laps. Finally got around him, and then Brian said, "See you later, boy, like you're a skater boy." So he's now opened up about 4.2 on Anzaldo.
Yeah, I think if you can run just kind of your own line with no turbulence in front of you, you can really gain a lot of track or a lot of speed. It's when you start getting into those battles and have to compromise your line and getting into the dirty air.
It is our rookie, Damon Martinez, who brings out the caution right when we were about time for green flag pit stops. A little bit of ghost contact. How about some rookie-to-rookie ghost contact here? Martinez and Rigney.
Yeah, it looked like a little bit of net code there as well. And that's going to destroy Martinez's car, and that's going to really affect our Rookie of the Year standings going forward. And here you go, Mike Rigney trying to go on the inside, and not really any true contact, but it does send Martinez out of the race, I'm assuming.
Well, with 61 laps on Garen's tires, 49 on Karam and Blocker, everybody's going to be coming in. It's going to be a question of how well did you pay your pit crew last night? Did they go to bed on time? Get a good night's sleep? Did you put them up at a Marriott or a Motel 6? Well, we'll find out. Everybody finds their spot.
All right, here we come. Everybody's coming in. Green flag pit stops. I was hoping to see some, or yellow flag pit stop. I was hoping to see some green. Ooh, Brian Yazik does a great job coming out of the pit lane. I think he's going to beat Brandon Linkerman. He is. So Brandon Yazik is going to come out in second. That's the easiest pass you can make, isn't it, in that pit lane?
Stay it out. Sammy, quite contrary. How does your garden grow, Samuel Ryman? Always doing something different as he's going to stay out. Let's see if he pulls it in this time. What we'll do here on the Global SimRacing Channel while we wait to see what Samuel Ryman does, take a break. We'll be back before we go green. Probably be around lap 65. Back in a few. Welcome back to IESN and the Global SimRacing Channel's coverage of the Lionheart IndyCar Series. It's the Berkey Trucking 200 at Iowa Speedway. We are under yellow, currently working lap number 66. We have some news for you. We've been watching the progress of Sage Karam. Well, he had made a couple stops under this yellow, and so all the work that he had put in moves him to the very back again. The lights are off the pace car, and we're going to be going green for lap 67. And our leader continues to be Dan Guerin, although staying with him is Brian Yazik. Now, Yazik has been racing in third most of the time. During pit stops, he was able to get around Brandon Limpkeman. This is the farthest back that Limpkeman has been, now in third position. Great stop for Bob Mikas, up into fourth, working on the back of Limpkeman. Everybody trying to have fun with new tires, and Mikas gets to the back of Limpkeman. Lipkeman is in the wall.
Oh, I just happened to be watching that. Yeah, Bobby Mikas got into that corner and just drove into his left corner and spun Brandon. I'm sure Brandon's not going to be happy about that as he is running pretty strong. That was definitely a mistake for Bobby Mikas. And back to the yellow flag.
Boy, oh boy, tough break for Brandon Lipkeman, who was having a great race. Qualified in the bridesmaid position, was racing up front in second and third, out of trouble. And then with those fresh rubber, everybody feels frisky with fresh rubber on it. We ride on board here, we'll see what happens. There we go, and that's the meat machine getting into the back of Lipkeman, and
yeah, he just needed to give him a little bit more room, and that's unfortunate.
Well, Lipkeman not the only big-name driver to be out of this. Of course, Connor Harrington's night is done. Jason Galvin is out. We mentioned David Clymer, Dustin Wardlow, and Isaiah Dupree. Damon Martinez has also called it a night. Now, for some reason, Adam Blocker is 6 laps down. I don't remember Adam being in trouble, but he's in pit lane right now. Our points leader, not going to have a good points night.
Yeah, I see a little damage on his front wing, but nothing to take him out of the race. So definitely something happened that we didn't see. He's out of the car at the moment.
Good news, there are drop weeks in this series, but you only get so many of them. And there you see the empty cockpit, a blockerless cockpit.
Yeah, he's got quite a gap on those championship standings, but with Dan Guerin leading the race at the moment, this is going to tighten it up a little bit if we can finish this way.
We know we have onboard cameras throughout the field. We have one on the lead car of Dan Guerin. You know what? They point both directions. There's one pointing forward. Do we have an onboard camera that goes the other way so we can see the guys that are following them? Let's see if our directors were able to do this. I don't know. There we go. Look at that. We have more than one onboard camera on the car. You know what? That is the Midwest Simulations onboard camera. They got a product. It's Spotlight VS, and it is a system developed from the ground up by iRacers for iRacers. Now, if it was built with the goal of providing a non-invasive yet always visible system to complement existing in-sim spotter audio cues. It's a visual cue that shows up on your screen. It's really cool. Spotlight VS works with existing spotter packs, so you don't have to worry about having to trade off your favorite audio spotter if you don't want to. If you want to know more about it, and I recommend you do, a lot of the drivers here on Lionheart swear by it, go to midwestsim.com. Boy, so many cool products that you can get for your sim racing experience. Whether it be butt kicker or sim experience, gloves. And of course, I still use my wife with a frying pan every time I put it in the wall. She just smacks me. That's some low rent motion.
Do have some takers on the pit lane. Bobby Mike is one of them, and Sage Karam.
Something going on with Sage there. He's maybe trying to get this figured out. He had a horrible stop last time. He had to make 2.
Still on the lead lap, so he's still in it, but he's down back in 20th. He has a fast enough car to get back out the front. Last car in the lead lap, Samuel Ryman. Yeah, he is missing a side pod. So he definitely has some damage that happened that we didn't catch. So he's trying to fix that a little bit at a time, I think.
Some more takers now. John Hill, Justin Weaver, Christopher coming in. So the leaders of all the cars who have pitted this time around, it's whether like this time or 2 or 3 laps ago, but basically Tyler Groff in car number 26 is the guy we're going to watch, leader of this strategy group. Sage Karam in that mix as well with Samuel Ryman, of course.
talking about John Hill, we mentioned it in the beginning. If he stays clean, he's going to move up and pass Damon Martinez and be second in the points championship for Rookie of the Year.
He actually got a little unlucky when Rigney and Martinez got together. It would have been nice if they both would have crashed out for him, but as it was, only Martinez crashed out. Pace car peels. So does the roar of the engines. Dan Guerin leading the Stampede down, working lap number 74. Yasic is there. George Anzaldo now with Limpkeman out of the mix, moves up into third. Ron Hacker in fourth. Tony Schowen.
Everybody with semi-fresh tires here, able to run wherever they want. Brian Yasic weaving and bobbing, trying to keep George Anzaldo behind him. George is able to go to the bottom. George is having a great run so far in this race. He obviously likes this track as it's one of his wins he's had in the series. Right behind them, Tony Schowen going underneath Ron Hacker. And got a little battle there with Schoen, Cohn, and Stefan Larkamp as well. Here comes Brian Yasic. Going to send it down to the bottom. Going to pass Dan Guerin, take the lead. That's going to bring George Anzaldo. Now he's going to send it to the bottom. He's going to take the point. That's going to bring Dan Guerin along with him. We got a three-way battle for the lead here. Almost three wide into turn 3.
So Anzaldo makes his way up. Yasic on the top side, working the low side now. Farthest back he has been is Dan Guerin. Guerin continues to fight for that second spot. He gets it back. Great run now from Ron Hacker. You may be looking up there saying, hey, Soup, what happened to Bobby Mikas? He was racing up there, remember, in fourth position when he got into Limpkeman. Well, race control made the Von Hansen's meat machine take a drive-through penalty. He is now well back.
Yeah, he's going to have to do all that hard work once again. But, man, let's give a shout-out to George. He's running up front, holding off Dan Guerin. Dan Guerin was way out in the lead early on, but now he's got some company as George is holding off Dan Guerin and Brian Yasic in third. Bring up Ron Hacker. Started third, is back up to fourth. But, man, Tony Schowen's starting to make himself known as well. He's running in the fifth spot, started eighth. Stephen Larkamp, 16th to 6th. So we got some guys that started a little bit farther back, starting to make their way forward.
Great racing up front. You can see the top 15 on the tower, then the bottom 5 kind of scroll through. In 17th position, the leader of all the cars that are on the newer tires is Chris Stouffer now. And back to the lead goes Dan Guerin.
Yeah, Dan Guerin's able to go down to the inside of George Anzaldo into turns 3 and 4, or sorry, 1 and 2. But George Anzaldo is hanging tight. You can see these guys starting to move their way up the lane a little bit. In single file, everybody's kind of finding rhythm. Tony Schoen way up high into 3. He's trying to make that real wide line work, but not working so much right now.
21 cars still out there racing, 19 on the lead lap.
Yeah, Guerin is definitely struggling with the speed of his car, missing part of his side pod. So he's getting lapped at the point at the moment. 18 cars on the lead lap. I would assume that he's going to pit and try to fix that car or just call it a day because he's really down on speed.
Yep. Going around him now, that is Brandt, and getting also underneath is Chris Stouffer. So attrition starting to play a factor as we have lots of cars that are out. We didn't mention maybe some more of them. Justin Weaver and Brandon Limpkeman are out. The mystery that happened to Adam Blocker, he's called it a evening.
Right now, Samuel Ryman's the last car in the lead lap. He has a healthy gap to Dan Guerin, but that can close up pretty quickly. So Sam's going to hope for a yellow flag so he can get back on that cycle with everybody. Right now, Dan Guerin's kind of left the field. He let George have the lead for a little while, and he got back in the lead and just said, see you later. The battle really is for second with Anzaldo and Yasic fighting it out.
There you're looking at the lap times between Guerin and Anzaldo. And you're going to expect that Guerin would be faster. Let's drop back and look at Anzaldo because here he is again. Brian Yasic got to be feeling his deja vu all over again as he's got to negotiate his way around George Anzaldo. It took him about 7 laps to do it earlier. He's going to try it one more time. Once Yaz can get around George, I think he could leave him behind.
Yeah, right behind them, I just saw Tony Shaw do a nice slide job up on Ron Hacker. So he's taken over that fourth spot. Ron Hacker now being bothered by Mark Cohn. So Mark Cohn's going to get ahead of Ron Hacker as well, move him up from 10th to 5th.
Going to jump you around a bit to 9th position, car number 09, Bart Workman. Really, really good day for him. 22nd to 9th. And boy, he is in it right now. He is right behind Brian Beard, coming off that great finish last time out. Now, we talked about how good Workman is doing, but he's right in there with Joe Branch as well. How about 18 positions for Branch? So a pair of hard chargers back there behind Beard.
All right, working lap 93 of 229. It's been 30 laps since our leader's pit, so a lot of this has been under green. So, like I say, I'm looking forward to seeing some green flag pit stops so we can get there.
We'll see some.
George getting passed by now Brian Yazzie has gotten by George. And we'll see if he can pull away like he did a little while ago. But Tony Schowen's starting to close in, and Tony Schowen's going to just sneak onto the inside of George. So George fading a little bit. I don't know if he's just deciding I'm just going to take it easy because here comes Mark Cohn as well.
Let's stay on this one, boy. When things start to go south for Anzaldo, they happen quick. Cohn on the inside, Anzaldo on the outside. And Cohn gets down below. Let's see if there's momentum now. Cohn tries to get up in front of him. Does a good job of not chopping the nose off Anzaldo, but there's another position.
Coming up on some lap cars, that group, just John Hill, 2 laps down, but hanging in there tight. Like I say, if he can stay out there and just have a good finish, he's going to jump into second in those Rookie of the Year standings.
Yep, Mike Rigney, his competition, races in 13th right now. Go ahead.
I was going to say, as Mark Cohn goes around him, kind of stacking up behind George here. I don't know if he's struggling a little bit. He was up in second, and now he's starting to fade a little bit. He's getting pressured by Ron Hacker. He's got about 6 cars behind him. So George is not liking that set of tires he just put on for some reason.
George reminds me when I take my wife dancing. She's comfortable in her shoes early on, but once she's been dancing for a little while, her feet start to hurt. I think that's what's going on with Anzaldo. I think he's happy when the rubber is fresh, but boy, when the tires start to go away, he does not. He doesn't have a lot of dance moves out there, and they are coming right now. The dance floor is getting full. Hacker, Larkin, Branch, Beard, Hassard, Workman, all in the swarm behind him. Sleepy Lanini, haven't heard much from him. He races in 12th. That final blue car back there, that's your rookie Mike Rigney in the Baker's Dozen position. And
Samuel Ryman's, I was going to say, Samuel Ryman's still hanging on for dear life there in 18th spot, trying to stay on that lead lap. He's doing a good job of that. If he can just stay there and get a yellow flag, it's going to put him right back in the mix. So he's not far off, but he definitely, Dan's going to be coming up pretty quickly.
You look there, boy, my spider senses are tingling for this battle for 5th. And hold him up. Hacker tries to go underneath. He gets alongside of him, though. I don't think he's going to have anything down low. Let's see if he can make it stick underneath Anzaldo. Anzaldo does a good job of going up top and getting a good drive off. And sure enough, Hacker can't get it done. And all that does is slow those 2 guys down. That brings Branch to the mix. Larkamp lurking back there.
Yeah, George's best option right now is just to run that 3rd groove, make those guys go down low, and just keep that momentum going until we can get a fresh set of tires on that thing. But he does have a bunch of cars. Here we come. Joe Branch trying to go do the slide job on Ron Hacker. He looks like he does it. That's going to be Big Joe and Stephen Larkamp into the mix as well. So, yeah, this is pretty busy work for that top 5 spot.
Yeah, sure enough, Branch gets the best of Hacker, but again, it is George Anzaldo up there, covering the outside like synthetic lawn. They just cannot get around him. They've got to go underneath him, and that just doesn't work.
Meanwhile, Mark Cohn, who got around George a while ago, he has just left them in the dust. He's got 4 seconds in his pocket. Dan Guerin way out in front. He's going through turn 2. As George Anzaldo in 5th is just going across the start-finish line. Those guys are still trying to get by him. And Joe
Branch does it.
Finally makes it work, gets that job done. George Anzaldo goes down to the bottom trying to protect it, but he's got 3 cars behind him, 2 cars behind him trying to get by.
And once Branch gets around Anzaldo, it is see you later. I like what Anzaldo's doing. He's out there racing that top line. They're coming from all angles. Now Hassard's going to get him. But they are stacking up. Now look at the run on the top side. This is Larkamp, but he's going to be pinned in as he can't make the move with Ron Hacker beneath him.
That's pretty busy up there. You don't have to go to it, but I will say Mark Cohn has caught up to Tony Schowen for 3rd spot. Those guys are all on their own, working lap 48 since their last pit stop. So probably about another 10 laps, you say?
I think so. Whoa, they split Anzaldo. They go high, they go low. On the top side was Larkamp. On the low side was Bart Workman. Workman having a great race, up 13 positions into 9th.
Yeah, really surprising to see George struggle so bad. He was all the way up to 2nd. Now he's just, once you kind of lose that momentum and just get out of the groove, it just kind of multiplies. And unfortunately, he's dropped all the way down to 14th. So he's really begging for a pit stop.
A tip of the hat to Anzaldo for fighting so hard, and many tips of the hat to all the guys that worked so hard to get around him. That was exciting stuff. Go ahead.
I was going to say 18 cars still on the lead lap. Samuel Ryan's running pretty good lap times. I mean, Dan Guerin's coming up on him, but it's just very little at a time. So Sam's hoping for some pit stops soon, working lap 53. I'm going to say we're going to go to lap 58 to 60 if we keep under green before they start thinking about pit road.
Richie Karam had that side pod damage. What do you know?
I just know he just finally called it a day. He got lapped a couple times by everybody and just realized that no point in staying out there and getting everybody's way. So Sage has exited the race, and he is done for the night.
18 cars on the lead lap, 20 still racing with John Hill and Bob Mikas a couple laps down. When we thin the herd a bit, you know what that means. You've been watching Lionheart for a long time. Longer green flag runs, and I think that's what we're going to see. We may see ourselves a green flag pit stop. Richie talked about it. They're on lap 55 right now, and I'm talking Guerin, Yas, those guys. Woo. Look for Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I'm really surprised at how far ahead the leaders are. Like Dan, Brian, Tony, Mark, Joe, they're all kind of doing their thing. Like the real battle is right back here for 10th spot with Steven Larkamp.
The driver to watch out for, and he will be your leader for about, I'm going to say, 10 laps. It will be Chris Stouffer.
Yeah, man, just as I said that, Brian Yazik is caught right up to the back of Dan Guerin as Dan Guerin's been stuck in traffic. He's obviously really struggling with those tires. And here comes Brian Yazik. He's going to look to take the lead. He's going to go down to the bottom. I don't know if he can hold it, but he's going to try. He's not able to quite keep it going, but he's definitely starting to hassle Dan for that lead. No more easy stuff for Dan.
He might be able to pin Guerin behind Samuel Ryman. If he can get down low, keep Guerin from getting that runoff. Now, Guerin tries to go underneath Ryman. Ryman has 10-lap fresher tires.
And Ryman has all... Oh, here comes Dan and Brian.
Yazik.
Brian Yazik dove in, and Dan Guerin jumped right in front of him. So he saw that move. Let's see if they can get slowed down before they get to that pit lane. And our leaders are in.
Now the question is, how many laps do you go down under a pit stop? Right now, this happened last year. And this is where Chris Stouffer, he has this 10-lap advantage on tires. He can stay out here for a while. And once everyone ahead of him is forced to make a stop, he's going to be thinking about roses in Texas and rivers in China. Anything yellow.
And Dan Guerin off. Brian Yazik off. That's going to help Samuel Ryman get those guys off his back for a little while, but he's going to have to pit himself. He's still on the lead lap, sitting in 14th. He's right behind Tyler Groff, too.
Stouffer now up to 7th.
Big Joe was the leader. He's coming into the pit lane. Ron Hacker coming with him. Mike Rigney coming. Ooh, Mike Rigney almost crashed into the attenuator there. Almost didn't make it, but he does make it.
See, and that's
going to put Brian Beard up front.
With Rigney's near problem, that's exactly why John Hill is out there 2 laps down. Just putting in the time, the rookie trying to pick up some spots. More drivers pit, and which means that Stouffer moves farther up in those standings, now sitting in 4th.
Right now, Brian Beard, Chris Lanini's in. Brian Beard, James Brown. Oh, Chris Lanini spins out going into pit lane. He's not quite there. He didn't stop. He's going to keep going, but no yellow flag. But he's going to lose a lot of track time with that type of maneuver. And here is a replay of this. He's trying to make it around the corner here, and you're going to see him lose control. Almost goes up into the traffic. Was able to keep it down, keeps the car moving. And now he's in his box.
Oh my goodness, can we get an onboard right now with Chris Stouffer? He was just making his pit stop. Man, he almost got into the back of John Hill. Maybe it's not as scary on board as it was looking at it from a low angle.
Well, it was tight.
It's a scary.
I just watched that replay myself. John Hill is slowing down, and John Hill's coming to the pit lane too, but not as fast as Stouffer was.
All right. Groff is slow. Stouffer, we're hearing, has trouble. Oh, okay. Tyler Groff is very slow. Did he run out of fuel?
Yeah, I don't know. It looked like he ran out of fuel. He was leading the race and missed his entrance. And now he's coasting down the front straightaway. He might make it all the way. He's going to make it all the way around, but I don't think he's under power. I think he's just coasting around.
Yeah, he was working his 62nd lap. He pushed it all the way to the edge and then missed pit entry.
So after we cycle through everybody, it's back to normal. Dan Guerin up front, Yazik second, Show in third, Branch in 4th. George Ansaldo up to 9th.
Yeah, I think Ansaldo actually made up a little bit of time. He had fallen a little farther. Let's look at Ansaldo right now. He races in 9th, but he's a lap down. Here comes Yazik. Yazik is in 2nd. We have 7 cars on the lead lap. Rookie Mike Rigney, the last one. Brian Beard just got lapped, which would be the 8th car that was on the lead lap. He just went a lap down.
Yeah, right now we only are showing 7 cars on the lead lap, so that really mixed the field up. You can see, if you make a small mistake on pit lane with only 17 seconds around this track, you really lose a lot of time. So some of these guys really struggling on those pit stops. Dan Guerin doing a good job. He's up front. He's got about a 1.5 gap on Brian Yazik.
Beard just got around our leader, so he gets his lap back. Beard on 8th lap, younger tires. Boy, the battle right now. I want to go to Yazik. This is interesting. Yazik is really in it right now. Now that's Workman he's fighting with. Workman is a lap down. Yazik is really in the mix of it. Look at this guy coming up. These guys, that's Brandt coming.
Yeah, those guys are a lap down, but they have every right to try to fight for it because if they can get themselves up to Dan Guerin, who's a little bit farther up, and they get a yellow flag, they're going to cycle around, get that lead lap. But they got a little work to do. But Brian Yazik, man, he just let those guys go. And he's still in second, but those two guys got in front of him. It's probably making him a little bit nervous.
Oh my goodness. You wouldn't think that 6-lap fresher tires would be that much difference, but look at James Brandt fighting with Yazik right now. Oh my, and going down low, that is Tyler Groff. Woo! Tyler's got really fresh tires. He's been out there for only 7 laps. Tyler is 3 laps down, though. Having fun.
Yeah, you can see how much a difference tires do make as you can run that low line. That's obviously the shortest distance around the track. Up front, it's all the same, but those guys are battling with other cars that are in the lead lap and not making it easy for them. Right now, George Anzaldo, first car lap down in 9th, so as he fell down the order, that really cost him some time.
Well, sometimes we do these Lionheart, boy, I love that camera angle we just saw there where they go right over the camera. You get an idea of who really is the class of the field, and boy, it is obvious today that Dan Guerin has this thing just comfortable. It is his race to lose.
Yeah, he's had some good races this year, just some bad luck, and he's definitely qualified on pole. He's steadily pulling away from everybody, not really challenged much. I think the only time he lost the lead was when George got by him, but he got back by him. And Brian Yazik doing a good job, started 7th up to 2nd, but he's not anywhere near Dan at the moment. He's 2.8 seconds back.
Right on board with Guerin and the Midwest Simulations onboard camera. Ah, I see the blimp in the sky. Blimp having a good time. I would be remiss if I did not talk about the race that Joe Branch is having. Racing in 4th. Up 24 spots.
Yeah, 24 spots. He didn't put a qualifying time. I don't know if he had a penalty or not, but he started 28th up to 4th. So nice job for him. And he's raced his way up there. It's not by luck. He has raced his way up.
Oh, yeah. He's got a long way to go to get to Tony Schowen, about 3.5 seconds up.
Laps are flying by here under green. We're already at 150 at 229. And what's amazing is we've done 27 laps since our green flag stopped. So, man, we're halfway through this run already. So we're going to keep going here. It's going to come up quickly to start the next round of pit stops.
Let's look at 6th position. We do have a little bit of a battle here. Ron Hacker has about a half second on Mike Rigney. Boy, that rookie. Rigney almost ended his day when he made his pit stop. Able to survive that one. With Martinez having trouble, Rigney looking to pick up some more points in that rookie championship.
Let's go back to 9th there with George Anzaldo and James Brandt. They're racing hard for 9th and 10th, but right behind them is Brian Yazik trying to get by them. And he's really having a hard time as those guys are punching a hole in the air. And he needs that air on his wing to make it work. So that's not helping his quest for Dan Guerin.
Yazik trying to get underneath, make the pass on Brandt. Of course, once he gets around Brandt, then once again, he will be behind George Anzaldo. Seems like he's always behind Anzaldo. And this time, Anzaldo's a lap ahead of him, or behind him. Eight cars on the lead lap as Brian Beard on Fresh River was able to get back around Guerin and drive away.
Another good battle on track is for 13th between Steven Larkamp. Stouffer, who had that problem earlier, has found himself a lap down in 14th, but Samuel Ryman doing a good job hanging in there. He's right behind these guys as well. And here comes Chris Stouffer trying to make a move on Steven. Not able to make it just yet, but they're going side by side. Larkamp up high, low, Stouffer down low, not able to hold that low line. Larkamp's going to be able to hold that spot.
I report that Brandt made an attack on Anzaldo. It didn't work. Brandt lost all of his momentum. That'll let Brian Yazik get around him. This is the battle for what would be 9th position. Yazik, of course, is in second. Yeah. Now here comes Yazik underneath, trying to get this done.
Yeah, they're getting close to. Brian Yazik almost got into the left rear of George Anzaldo. And like you said earlier, this is the battle we saw earlier for second place. It's not for second place, but these guys have been battling side by side for a lot of this event.
And Anzaldo loves that high line. It's only 4.6 seconds from Yazik to Guerin. I mean, he's still got time. If Yazik can get around here and start to make a run.
Yeah, what he needs is he needs Dan Guerin to get in some traffic, because it only sounds like, 4.6 seconds, but I was just looking, and it's pretty much the whole back straightaway.
We look there at see the intervals between Guerin and Yazik.
And Yazik finally sends it down into the low line in 1 and 3 and finally gets him. And that's going to bring James Brandt back up to George. So George's going to be reintroduced onto that battle. And here's a replay of that. As you watch Brian Yazik, he'll just send it right down to the bottom and just sprint car style, just wash right up and just take that line away.
So now Yazik sets the Spinnaker, and he's off setting sail here, see if he can run down Guerin. And as he does drive away, director just panned back one car. That battle continues. And Anzaldo, my gosh, he is getting his money's worth as far as excitement goes. He's in the battle with Brandt now.
I'd like to point out how important that in and out lap is like even Mark Cohn, he was up in the top 4 or 5, and after those round of pit stops, he's all the way down in 16th.
Yep.
You know, a lot of these guys that were racing up there all of a sudden found themselves lapped down, and it's not so much a bad pit stop, but that in lap and out lap is so important on a track that's only 17 seconds around, a couple seconds here, a couple seconds there. Man, all of a sudden you're just out of the game. Now working on P5 here with Big Joe, Rod Hacker, Mike Rigney. Rigney having a great run here with his closest competitor out of the race for the Rookie of the Year standings, looking to pad that lead a little bit.
There's a run from Hacker, but again, nowhere to go. We're working on 46 green flag laps, right? Am I correct on this? We have not had a yellow flag in this stint.
Oh, yeah, you're right. 46 laps, and they claim they can go 54. So about 8 more laps, we should start seeing these guys peeling in. And once again, just kind of watch that in and out lap type of thing. I mean, we only have 8 cars on the lead lap, but that could shrink up even more.
Boy, and I start adding 54 to 171. I think we're good to go here with one more stop here. If they go a few more laps, they should be good to get to the end. Yeah, right now we are, if you do it, I guess 4 laps short. But I think we're going to be able to go a few before pit stops come. So it's going to be a tight window, but I think
they're going to make it, because if you can get to lap 175, that's 54 laps. And we're working 49, so it's going to be right in that window. I was going to say, you know, when I practice for my races, I practice a lot of in and out laps, because the easiest pass you're going to make is in that pit lane. A lot of people don't practice enough of that and realize how much time they can lose or gain. And
Richie, in real world racing, do you have time to practice that when they do that?
You just try it when you can, but It's real important. It's at this type of speed, at 2, you're not going the speed, but I know at 220 you're going 100 yards a second. So you lose 2 seconds, you just lost 2 football fields. It doesn't take much to add up, basically. So it's Brian Yazik has dropped that lead. It was 4.6 seconds when he was behind Anzaldo, and when he finally got by Anzaldo, he's dropped it all the way down to 2.2. So he's definitely running. Looking at his lap times, he was 0.2 of a second faster than Brian or than Dan the last time around. So he's closing in.
Yazik's pretty fast when he doesn't have the series organizer in front of him.
He's been battling George all day long, but every time he gets by him, he just takes off. Oh, here comes Dan.
Garen is in.
Dan's coming in, and we're kind of in that window here where they can make it to the end. This will be his 55th lap.
So this is a pay me now, pay me later type thing. Every lap Yazik stays out while Garen makes the stop. Garen's going to be fast. Yazik says, Soup, I hear you. I'm coming in.
Yeah, unfortunately, if you're losing that type of speed on the track, fresh tires are going to make that up. So this is where that undercut comes. So you're better off pitting when the leader pits so you don't lose that track time. And just hopefully you can make up a little time coming in and out of it.
Now Tony Schowen inherits the lead.
Ooh,
and a lot more cars get back on the lead lap.
One guy losing it on the exit lane there. I think that was George Anzaldo getting a little bit loose coming out of the pits. He pitted, but almost spun it coming out. No spin, but he's definitely going to take a while to get back up to speed.
Mike Rigney is your leader, but he has to come in for a stop. Everybody about on the same strategy. Samuel Ryman has a couple laps on these guys. He might be able to stay out longer.
Yeah, he might be able to stay out a little longer, and that will mean he doesn't need as much fuel, so this might help him as long as he can keep that speed up. He's still running good lap time, 17.1s. Just got to have a good
Garen is out 1.6 seconds ahead of Brian Yazik. They race in 5th and 6th. Yazik is coming.
Yeah, Yazik seems really good on used tires, and we're got a long ways to go. So with no more pit stops needed, unless we get a yellow, these guys might take fuel, or take tires, but no more pit stops for fuel needed at this point.
Garen worked his way around Ron Hacker and Brian Beard. That's the cushion between him and Yazik. The gap now up to 2 seconds. Garen goes around John Hill. Our leader now, James Brandt. Brandt coming in, working his 56th lap.
Yeah, it's going to put Christopher back to the point. He had a little bit of issue last time, but he's got a lap or two in the bucket. Samuel Ryman.
Stouffer out there. So that's going to let Sam Ryman, I think he's going to be able to lead in anger here, as I think Stouffer's going to be coming in soon, and Sam's going to probably stay out one extra lap. One of these days, the number's going to work out for Ryman, and it's all going to cycle out, and he's going to steal one of these. Our leader, GSRC's own Samuel Ryman.
Yeah, Stouffer in. Samuel is the last car who has not pitted, and he is the leader. Man, he's going to come in right now. So he needs a really good stop here. If he can get a good stop here, he can, because he's not going to need as much fuel as these guys, so every second counts.
Meanwhile, Dan Garen has been doing a great job of knifing through traffic as he's opened it up to 2.8 on Brian Yazik. Yazik had it as close, I saw, at 1.6.
Yeah, Dan's got a couple of cars in between him. Looks like he's got Mike Rigney, Brian Beard, Ron Hacker in between him and Brian, and himself and Brian. 6 cars on the lead lap showing at the moment.
Interesting enough, if we could go look at third position, I don't mean to jump you around so much, Director, but this is interesting. We got a battle for third. This is Hazard, Joe Branch in this mix. Now that's George Anzaldo in front of him again. But also in this group, I believe, not too far back. Oh, look, here comes Garrett. Yeah.
Tony Schoen's right behind them as well.
Yeah, Guerin was just able to put a lap on Rigney and Ryman.
This guy's just got by George. But they are battling out. Joe and Big Joe Branch and Big Joe are racing it out for that final podium spot. So this would be a good result for either one of those guys. Tony Schoen not far behind. He's trying to get by George Anzaldo, trying to get in that mix. He's going to go to the bottom of George. Not able to get it done. Still stuck there. Brian Yazik hasn't been able to make too much inroad into Dan just yet. He's still 2.2 seconds back. Dan has got Mike Rigney. He's got those three guys still in between them. Actually, more than that.
Well, we're going to stay on
Stouffer.
Yeah, we're going to stay on Guerin for a minute because he's got some work to do. He's got Larkamp and Ryman who are battling for 13th position, a lap down. Right in front, he's got 3 wide.
Oh, yeah, he's got a healthy group of cars.
Boy.
Fortunately, he has a couple of cars behind him and Yazik, but yeah, he has got some work to do. He's struggling to get around Stephen Larkamp. Stephen Larkamp's not making it easy. Dan's going to the inside, but Stephen's going to stay on the outside. That's going to hold him up a little. His last lap was a 17.3, while Brian Yazik's was a 16.4, or sorry, 16.9. So he's dropped a half a second on Dan.
They used to call them widowmakers. It's a little known fact. More lumberjacks are killed by falling pine cones than they are by trees falling on them. And that's kind of what Ryman has in front of him right now. He doesn't have to worry about fighting for a position. He's kind of worried about his life ending from a bizarre pine cone falling on his head in the form of a lap traffic.
Yeah, that's a sad way to put on your tombstone, killed by a pine cone.
Yeah, I tell ya.
But, you know what? If that's the way it is, that's the way it is.
Well, they fall asleep underneath a tree and boom.
Yeah, Dan's still trying to get around Stephen Larkamp. I'm sure he's getting a little frustrated there.
And so the interval now is down to 1.2. It's almost down to a second.
Yeah, it's
of course, Yazik will fall into Yazik will fall into the same problems here when he gets there, but
yeah, but he can see him now.
Yeah,
you know, before he was far enough away, but he's got a bunch of cars in between him. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cars in between him and first place.
And Guerin has finally managed to get around Anzaldo and Rigney and Larkamp and Beard. He's got some clean air now. These are all the drivers that Yazik are going to have to get around. And while that's going on, there's that battle between Branch. Or is it Schoen?
Schoen got up to 4th. Oh, he's in front of third in front of Joe, but Joe almost got into the back of him. Christopher's, even though he's a lap down, he's going to go by both these guys. He's got a couple laps fresher tires, but battle rages between Tony Schoen and Joe Branch, and right behind him is Big Joe Hazard. And not far behind them is Mike. Oh, well, Mike Rigney's a lap down, so it doesn't really matter. So 5 laps, 5 cars on the lead lap at the moment.
And Guerin's going to show no mercy when he gets to one. He's got to go around him. Now, after Guerin got through, he's got to back up to 2.1. As Yazik has have to deal with this. Let's go ahead and look at Yazik, as he has to deal with the same thing with this. Watch Guerin go through.
Yeah, he hasn't made any inroads into these guys at all. He's struggling. He's still stuck in that pack. You know, these guys are racing on their own race, so they have every right to do what they're doing. Brian's going to have to do it the hard way.
Oh, he gets a good run here. He's going to get a twofer here. Careful there. That is Ron Hacker. Kind of pinched Yazik down a little bit. The bad news will be when Yazik does get around Hacker. Guess who he's going to have in front of him? George Anzaldo.
Looks like we've got 20 laps to go. Yeah, as soon as he gets by Ron Hacker, he's still working on that. Can't quite get by Ron Hacker, but the next car in front of him is George Anzaldo, like you said. Dan Guerin opening that gap all the way up to 2.4 seconds. So he's pretty much right back to where he was. Got close, but once he got clear, he was able to do his thing and pull away once again. Although he's got a couple of cars in front of him. He's coming up to another pack of cars. And it is that group with Big Joe Hasser, but he's catching all the way up to 5th spot. Wow.
Indeed.
So
let's turn our attention to 3rd then. This is Tony Schowen trying to fend off Joe Branch. They race for position. Not that far behind is Hassard as well. Back there in line there. Schowen, Branch. The 3rd car back is Hassard. And right behind them, it's Dan Garrett. Come on, Dan. Let's see if you can lap everybody but Brian Yazik.
Well, he's got a 15-second gap on Tony Schowen in 3rd spot. It's a 17-second lap track, so figure that one out. So that is definitely a possibility that he can lap everybody up to 2nd spot, to 3rd, past 3rd. That'd be amazing.
Garrett about, I'd say, 10 car lengths behind Hassard right now. And the bad news for Hassard and Branch and Schowen is Garrett's going to show no mercies. He's got to stay ahead of Yazik.
Yeah, Schowen, Branch, and Big Joe racing for 3rd spot. They're all tied together. But yes, once again, Dan Guerin has his own battle. He's got Brian Yazik. He's only 3 seconds back, and we've seen Brian able to close that down as soon as Dan does get in traffic. So you're right.
There goes
the pass. He's not going to show any. There we go.
Can't finish it.
Nope.
Branch took it down low. Just can't. We've seen that time and time and time. One more time, Soup, and time again.
Yeah, we're working lap 40, 37-ish, 40-ish on tires. So as we get to that point, we've seen these guys really struggle to make that pass on the low line. The only way you can really make it, we saw Brian Yazik do earlier, you just kind of send it in there and just wash up and almost do like a sprint car type pass. Ooh, John Hill almost got ran into the back of by Joe Branch.
Doing a good job of getting out of the way. Here comes Garrett underneath Hill. And so now it is Schowen in 3rd, Branch in 4th, Hassard in 5th, and right behind him to lap him, Guerin. He's got 2.3 seconds back to Yazik. 9 seconds to go. These guys may be able to finish on the lead lap.
Gonna be close. Big Joe is right in front of Dan Guerin, so Dan, like you said, he's not going to show any mercy. He's got to keep moving. He can't just kind of lift and coast because Yazik's only 2.3 seconds behind. It doesn't take much to close that gap up.
Yazik did get around Anzaldo and is now behind Hacker. He's got Hacker, Hill, Rigney, and Lanini as a cushion. Or a deficit, I guess, up to Guerin. That would be a cushion for Guerin. 6 to go. Look at that high line by Tony Schowen.
Brian Yazik's able to close it down a little bit, down to 1.8 seconds. Not close enough to really battle yet, but he's closed in. But now he's struggling to get by the lap car of Ron Hacker, it looks like, I think. Is that Ron Hacker in front of him?
Yep. 4 laps to go. About a minute of racing left. 1.4 as the gap continues to shrink. Here comes Yazik.
He still can't get by Ron Hacker. And the next car in line, I believe, is...
Lanini.
Yeah. No, Lanini, sorry. Oh, he's got a couple cars in front of him, so... Yep, so... Yeah, unless Dan Guerin really flubs this, it's going to be all his, because we only got 3 laps to go. About 45 seconds.
A social media post by Dan Guerin today said that he's going to be hanging it up at the end of the season and thought maybe he could get at least one more win before that happens. Well, he gets the white flag right now. He is 2 corners away from seeing that win. The class of the field today, out of 3, heading to 4. And the win of the Berkey Trucking 200 at Iowa Speedway goes to Dandy Dan Guerin. Yazik gets second. Schoen is safely going to make it around for third. Oh, look at this battle for fourth, though. And I believe it's going to be Big Joe Hassard ahead of Joe Branch. Branch had Bart Workman in front of him.
Yeah, he just kind of picked him off, made Joe Branch go down low, pinch it off, and that got the move because they would go right in between them in the middle.
Ooh, that was a nice move by Joe Hassard as he gets fourth. Joe Branch finishes the last car on the lead lap. Maybe Branch might have... I think we're okay there on that one. We're worried maybe you ran out of fuel, but I think it's good. So 5 cars on the lead lap. Back half of your top 10, Rigney, Hacker, Beard, Brad, and Ryman. That's going to conclude the racing here at Iowa, but don't go far. We're going to take a short break. We'll come back to run down the entire finishing order, talk to some of the drivers before we put a lock on the gate. Back in a few. watching the iRacing Esports Network. This is a Global SimRacing Channel production, and it is the Berkey Trucking 200 at Iowa Speedway. And the Plasma Tracks Victory Lane post-race show is up right now. If you're struggling to find something for the person who has everything, I got the website for you, plasma-tracks.com. Not only produces original racetrack wall art, but motorsports trophies, home decor, and motorsports fabrications. Well, you can get those too. Words can't do justice to the uniqueness of what they do. The only way to fully appreciate their artwork is to see it for yourself. But I'm warning you, one visit and the next thing you know, you'll be trying to convince the person you live with why you need a Plasma Tracks wall art hanging in your home. See it all at plasma-tracks.com. Got a promo code for you, LRS 2019, and you get 25% off your order. I am going to give you 100% of the Sim Pit finishing order here for the Berkey Trucking 200 at Iowa Speedway. Your winner started on pole, and he wins it. Dan Guerin, the first driver to win from the pole here at Iowa in the history of the Lionheart IndyCar Series. Brian Yazik was best in class as he finishes second. A great battle for third. Tony Schowen gets the best of it. Big Joe Hazard able to nip Joe Branch right at the line for fourth. Branch has to settle for the last car on the lead lap in fifth. Back after your top 10. Top rookie, Mike Rigney, good job for him, gets sixth ahead of Ron Hacker. Brian Beard, boy, he continues to post good finishes. James Brandt in ninth with Samuel Ryman. He led a few laps. He comes home in 10th. Rishi?
Yeah, coming home in 11th spot be Paul Jenkins. 12th is going to be Chris Lanini in 13th. George Anisato ran up front early on, but comes home in 14th. Stephen Larkamp, 15th. Bart Workman, 16th. 17th is going to be Tyler Groff. John Hill, our other Rookie of the Year candidate, 18th. 19th will be Bobby Mikas, and 20th will be Mark Cohn.
141 laps down. Hidden Blackjack is Sage Karen. Double ducks for Justin Weaver. Brandon Limkeman, Adam Blocker go 24th and 25th. The quarter century mark belongs to Damon Martinez, who will most likely fall to third in the championship for the rookie standings. Connor Harrington goes next. Jason Galvin, David Clymer, and Dustin Wardlow and Isaiah Dupree caught up in that lap one incident. They finished 228 laps down, 28th, 29th, and 30th, respectively. All right, it is interview time. I get the honor of talking to our race winner, Dan Guerin. Dan, boy, clearly the class of the field tonight. The only thing that was going to keep you from winning it was a mistake, maybe not even from you, but from somebody else. You managed to avoid that. Congratulations.
Thanks a lot. It's overdue. It was a pretty tough race there. Lap traffic was it was lap traffic. It was tough to get around any of them. But they're battling for positions just as much as Brian and I are. I don't think I was class the field. I'm pretty sure Brian was. He ran me down twice, but ended up getting caught in lap traffic again, and that sucks because I know that he could have passed me, and I guess that's just the luck of it. I mean, I had a few close calls myself on pit out. I got about a lap or so going, and then somebody else pit in. They kicked it sideways and slid backwards up the track right in front of me, and I had to make quite a bit of evasive maneuver to get around him. And then right when I first pit stops, I went to dive in, and Brandon was right behind me, and somebody spun. Well, if I would have stayed on track one more lap, I probably would have ended up hitting them. So it definitely wasn't an easy race by far.
I follow your social media posts. I hear you're going to pursue a career as a reality show star, as you're hanging up the racing gloves after this season.
Unfortunately, yes. As much as I love the guys and get along with them, I debated on starting the season this year as it was, but I'm like, oh, you know what? I'll be fine. Well, halfway through the season, start getting burned out on it, and it's like, well, I'll make it. You know, I can do it. And so about for 3 months, I've been deciding what I wanted to do. And yesterday on my way home from work, I'm like, no, I need to take a break. I'm getting stressed out. I got other things I want to do. And it takes a lot of commitment to just be competitive in this league, because if you're not on top of your game, then you don't have much of a shot. So that's what I try to do is I just use up so much time trying to stay up on my game so I can have moments like this.
That's right.
It's tough. And I wish it could be some other way, but I'm here for everybody. If they need help, reach out to me. I'm more than happy to help you with whatever you want, qualifying, road, race, anything, you name it. I will be more than happy to help anybody out.
Well, life is long and batteries can be recharged, so you take a season off. Who knows? We may see you back in a couple seasons from now. For right now, congratulations on the win. Good luck the rest of the way.
Thanks a lot. Just want to give a quick shout out to my sponsors here. They've been with me for a few years now. Dave Barber, Lock Precision, Scott Rupp, Midwest Simulations. Make sure you pick up the spotlights, guys. Tyler Graff does all my paints, fabulous guy, and Sim Racers for Mental.
You got it. Thank you. Congratulations on the win tonight. Been a long time coming. Dan Guerin gets one before he hangs them up. All right, Richie, who you got?
I believe we got our second place finish here, Brian Yazik. Brian, you there?
Copy.
All right, Brian. Well, finished second. You really were the only one to give Dan Guerin any kind of challenge there. You were fast. You could chase him down, but it really seemed like it was lap traffic. It kind of just was really tough to negotiate.
I don't know. We had them covered the whole second half of the race, but guys want to race for 13th for no reason and affect the outcome of the race. So that was pitiful, in my opinion. People just not paying attention to the F3 bar, or they were willingly, and they just decided to, not use that hunk of meat between their ears. But that was the least amount of respect I've ever seen from lap cars and slower traffic. That was a joke.
Well, it did seem also as the tires kind of got worn out a little bit that everybody kind of started moving up the line. Was it hard to hold that bottom line as you got a little farther into the run?
No, it was pretty straightforward. If you took care of, the big thing was if you focused on kind of running the same line and the same points at the beginning of the run that you were at the end of the run. I mean, you saw it. I'd pull Dan 2/10 a lap that way. So I don't know. Frustrating for everybody. LPM, HPP simulation. 2 weeks in a row, we probably should have had the win, but racing luck's not with us. But I don't know. It is what it is.
Yeah, I can understand being disappointed there when you have a car to win, but you still got second place. It could always be worse, right?
Yeah, we're marching up the standings after first half of the year. That it didn't go our way, and had a job change, so I was out of town a lot for trainings and different stuff like that. So I missed a lot of stuff in the first half, and just kind of a really poor first half showing, and then this week it just climbing up, getting through the points, and we got a shot depending on how a couple other factors play out. We might have a shot getting up towards top 5 for Auto Club. Need a couple things to kind of fall my way, but double points at the end. That'll be nice.
Yeah, well, we have a few more races there. You can just hopefully get into that top spot. Great job. It was exciting to watch you chase him down. So it was fun on our side of the booth. Anybody you would like to thank?
Like I said, just the guys, on my team at Loud Pedal Motorsports. I know Jason he's had a worse season than I have when it comes to luck, and that's awful. But Big Joe, getting up there, solid effort. Lanini had a good run, but just had a couple spins. But all the guys, an HVP simulation, everybody at Lionheart, thumbs up, cancer down to you guys for broadcasting and working all your magic in that one. So that's fun. I think we got a nice big old break here, I think, for a little bit, and then back on the road again. So we'll lace up the boots and try and get them next week.
Right on. And there's our second place finisher, Brian Yazik. Sue?
I get to talk to Tony Shaw, and bittersweet consolation to Yazik. At least the traffic was equal opportunity blockers, as they were just as rough on the leader, Dan Guerin, as they were on Brian Yazik. Tony Shawan got third, but he had to fight for it. Had to beat out Joe Hazard and Joe Branch on those final laps. Tony, nice job.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me.
Got some long green flag runs there at the end. You were able to hold position. Actually picked up a few when you got those long runs.
Yeah, the last pit, I was pretty ginger coming in and lost probably 4 or 5 seconds, I think, because that's Big Joe and Joe Branch were able to pass me. But the long run, I had the long run figured out by sticking up top in turns 3 and 4. And that's where I was able to pass both those guys and keep in front of them.
Yeah, I noticed at the very end you had the car high. You were happy up there. People would make a run at you down low. They maybe get alongside of you, but they could never finish the pass.
Yeah, and that's trust in those guys too, because you got to trust that they're not going to plow into you and take you out, and it goes both ways.
Well, congratulations on putting in all the laps. You got to the end. There were only 5 cars on the lead lap. You were one of them, so that's something to be proud of. Congratulations on the.
Thank you much.
Tony Shallen, 3rd place for that. And we have one more. We're going to talk to the guy. He led a few laps. Richie, who you got?
Yeah, we got Samuel Ryman and did leave a few laps. Samuel started 30th, finished 10th. Nice job in that 10th spot. Kind of hung around the back, stayed out of everybody's trouble, worked that strategy a little bit. Give us a little rundown of your race.
Yeah, well, that was the strategy initially, to start at the back and work my way up front. But then my computer played the strategy for me because practice ended and qualifying wasn't advancing. And I'm like, what the heck's going on here? And then I realized that it wasn't iRacing playing up, it was my computer. So I had to do a full restart. So I didn't have a chance to qualify. Computer made the strategy for me. And then it was just a matter of going on, saving fuel. So I had those fresh tires at the end. And boy, when I came out the pits with about 40 laps left to go, I was Superman because, I had fresher tires than the rest of the field and was carving my way through a giant pack of cars. I was annoyed to come out of the pits behind that giant pack of cars. But I've been listening to the other interviews, Richie, and I just want to say from a lap car perspective, I don't know what's going on. I don't know if Brian and Dan are talking about me or they're talking about another lap car incident or something. But the lap car perspective is, we know it's hard for the leaders to pass us here. Well, there were a couple of times I was the last car on the lead lap and the leader would come up to my rear wing. And I'm like, I'm not going to slow down because I know that just because you're the leader doesn't mean dirty air is not going to hurt you when you catch me. Granted, when they get alongside me, I let them by. But I just wanted to put in my 2 cents there of being a lap car. But again, I haven't gone back and watched replay, so they could be talking about something entirely different. But yeah, it feels good to get a top 10.
I think just sometimes you just get a little frustrated. It is that type of track. It's so short that you're constantly in lap traffic. And, but the other guys everybody has a place to race out there and has their right to the track. Just off a different subject, just give me a little rundown on basically how the tires wore out there. I mean, it doesn't seem like the lap times dropped off much, but it did seem like it narrowed up the racing line as the tires worn off.
Yeah, and I was probably doing a bad job of that because I kept going on the low line for most of the race when most of the cars were going up high. But yeah, for the first 10 laps of a run, maybe 15 laps of a run, if you're good, better than me, you could do it flat out. So that's why it was so nice to come in for those new tires. And then they kind of plateaued, I think. I don't think they ever got horrible. They just got, slow. So I was always for the strategy, like I said, of going long. But because you lose so much time if you make a green flag pit stop under this race, especially since we have to enter on the back straight. So, I don't know. I thought fuel was more, saving fuel was more important than tires. There was that magical lap 186 or whatever it was that had the caution flown. I would have been like the only car left on the lead lap, but it didn't. But it'll take a top 10.
Right. Yeah. We actually, we commented on that. If there was a yellow flag, you lap the whole field. But hey, man, good job getting in the 10th spot, staying out of trouble and everything. I know it can be rough sometimes starting in the back, and hopefully we see you back in the top 10 at the next one.
Yeah, well, 7th in the points earlier this season before I had an arm injury on the bicycle crash, and I just missed the last 2 races because I was in Vegas, and now I'm like 20th in the points. So we need to get back up there. Don't know if top 10 in points is doable, but maybe top 10.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us, Sam. And we'll send it back to Soup.
There you go. Good to get perspectives from all points of view there. You know, Richie, you and I were watching the same race. I think you nailed it. I think it's this frustration on the point of Yazik that he just couldn't get up there. We saw the whole thing. I never once thought, oh, these guys are kind of blocking. They were kind of doing their own thing. They're kind of racing, didn't you think?
Yeah, I mean, I just think it's just it's short track racing.
Yep,
No different than if you did a super late model at the bull ring. You know, it's just gonna sometimes it's gonna work for you, sometimes it's gonna be against you. So no harm or foul. They all had good races, I thought.
It was fun to watch no matter what. Hey, how about First Medical Equipment? They're always fun to talk to. They've been the source of medical supplies and equipment in the Burlington, Iowa area for years because of their superior commitment to provide the absolute best in product quality and customer service, Mr. Herr.
Sim Experience, the team behind the AccuForce Pro V2 direct drive steering systems. By providing unparalleled realism and the most advanced tuning features on the market, the AccuForce provides a significant advantage to any sim racer. It can also make for an effective training tool for real-world drivers. For more information on the entire Sim Experience ecosystems, including the GS5 seat, Stage Series motion systems, and Sim5 software, visit simexperience.com. And of course, use that promo code SimXLion to get 5% off all Sim5 software.
Wouldn't be a Lionheart race without talking about Butt Kicker at least once. Their products add instant immersion to any game, unlike a subwoofer that moves air and loses accuracy and force. You know what a Butt Kicker product does? It moves actual mass. That produces a haptic immersion that's powerful and accurate. Butt Kicker products add that missing driver-to-car connection, bringing more realism and immersion to your sessions. See all the family of products at thebuttkicker.com. Use promo code LION25 to get 25% off your order. Rich?
To contact any of the sponsors you see on your screen right now, go to LionheartRacingSeries.com. Click on 2019 sponsors, read or scroll to the bottom where you can see and click on that company logo. The original music on every GSRC broadcast comes courtesy of June DeLon. See the screen for how to contact her. On the screen right now are just some of the companies, equipment, and software that made this broadcast possible. The Lionheart IndyCar Series returns in 2 weeks, November 6th, for round 21 from Road America. GSRC and IESN will be there to bring you all the action, and we hope you join us.
On screen now are some of the upcoming broadcasts, so check them out and mark them down on your calendar. Do you want more information about GSRC, including a complete list of future broadcasts? You can find us at globalsimracingchannel.com. Hey, we're also on social media. How about Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel? We got Twitter at GSR Channel and Instagram at GSRC_Graham. And head on over to our YouTube page and become one of our YouTube subscribers by hitting that big red button. Finally, on behalf of the entire crew, that would be Richie, Amjad, and Dougie, I'd like to thank all of you for watching, as it was indeed Dandy Dan Guerin picking up the win here in the Berkey Trucking 200 at Iowa Speedway. With that said, we're off to have fun, storming the castle. So until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.